What up?
Yeah.
What was that?
What was that?
Greatness.
I felt like I was in like a breathing class or something.
The worst 30 seconds.
Breathe in, breathe
Don't ever do
out.
that again. I'm not waiting on that freaking.
That was weird, dude.
Honestly, once I looked down and saw y'all's faces, y'all were all so confused.
Could you see all? I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I could see.
I just saw the timer going down.
I know it was supposed to be calming, but that gave me anxiety.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. That was horrible. I almost got off.
Anyways, welcome to the Bassmaster Open Pros Pick'em Bassmaster Classic Edition. They are at Ray Roberts this week, and I just want to mention real quick that this show is presented by Deep Dive. Just in case.
Deep Dive.
That's how we know they're all screwed this week.
Do what?
That's how we know everyone's screwed this week is the Deep Dive app.
Very true. Very true. It did.
It's a good visual representation of what the 56 Classic competitors will be facing for the next 3 days.
Is there 56 now?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
We got the college, you got the weekend, you got the 3 from the Bass Nation, you got 9 from the Open.
That's all Group E.
Do you have the club? Do you have the club nation member and the?
There's 3 of those.
3 of those.
Yeah, I met the dude from Indiana though. He's a badass. Really enjoyed chatting with him.
Nice.
Bass Nation guy. Caught him all on a spinnerbait on Grand.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Real man fishing. Real man fishing.
I'm just amazed sometimes what Matt knows. I'm being serious for the first time ever. Like I'm giving Matt a compliment for it. It deserves this.
I wonder. Matt can probably help me with my.
Hold on, Todd was complimenting me. Ish, let the man.
Yeah, hold on.
I know, but I was trying to cut him off because that was just way too much for me.
Ish, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
I know, but it was starting to bother me. Like my head started hurting, my neck started bulging out. I heard the compliment, and it was just like, wow.
Listen, I'll just say, here's what it is. I do that show every day, so you have to have a lot of content material, so you end up in like little wormholes. So
it's good. And maybe you could help me out with my Group E pick when we get down to that, Todd.
Okay.
I mean, Matt, because I have no idea. Group E was like the toughest pick I've ever had in my entire life on the Pros Pick'em.
We can. Are we all in Fort Worth?
No,
I'm here.
Todd's at home. I'm at home, and
but we're all going to be eventually.
No, Todd might not be going. He's sick. So,
oh, Boo Boo Bear.
Yeah,
you'll be okay.
I do not want to be up right now.
Oh, it's Andrew's fault. So, just remember the paycheck. It's all about the paycheck.
Oh yeah, you were supposed to be driving.
Yeah, he was supposed to be.
Dude, Andrew wasn't lying though. I do think we are getting a paycheck this year.
I haven't seen anything.
Paycheck. Ish and Todd do. They're the talent.
Yes.
Deep dive.
Deep dive.
Speaking of deep dive, I don't know if anybody's looked at it. I know these guys have, especially Matt, because he studies everything. Friday, if you look at the deep dive app on the wind gust feature, which is right here, I don't know if anybody can see that. All that red stuff.
Oh, we can see that.
Yeah, red is severe, is a significant wave. So that's not just wind. It'll tell you what the wind is, but all the red is also the wave, and then it'll show you where it is actually hitting the bank and then where it is red in the water as well.
Yeah, but I looked at that. I was like, okay, because I thought it might change my picks. It didn't change my picks.
Because the wind changes every single day. Saturday is going to be blowing the opposite way.
It's bad every day. So all my picks are pretty spot on except one.
Yeah, I'm struggling with one as well. But hey,
I told you, Group E.
Let's roll open into the picks. That is not. It's this, Matt.
Oh. Well, maybe I'm working on a Krispy Kreme sponsorship as well.
Maybe talk to Yamaha first. All of us. Well, me and Todd for sure.
Hey, I'm open as well. So.
Oh, okay. We'll throw you in the mix.
Don't forget to start the picks with Ish, Andrew.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ish, what do you got? Group A Bassmasters Classic.
I've got everybody the same pick that everybody else has, because if you don't have my pick, then you're not thinking about winning.
Actually, there was somebody that was betting on here that they felt like there was no doubt whatsoever that Ish would have Jordan Lee, but I don't
Negative.
think that's the pick.
Negative. Jared Jordan's not my pick. Come on, you got to pick the guy. You got to Texas. I almost want to say Texas picks only, but Group E doesn't have anybody from Texas. So what is Matt doing?
I hit my camera to try to see if I could see what the comments were, but then I've got a new iPhone 16. I don't know how it works, and then I've got
iPhone
like a
16.
border.
Oh,
I've got a border around it to where I can never like swipe the top, so it ends up just 9 screens later. Anyway, sorry, that has nothing to do with the tournament.
I'm going with not Jordan Lee, but I'm going with Lee Livesey is my pick. I mean, you got to go with the guy who's won money here before. I mean, there were a couple other picks that I thought about. Yeah, and obviously Joe Lee is 2-time Classic champion. Will probably be a third at some point, because I think he just turned 16. Like a couple months ago or something? I mean, he's going to have a long career and definitely probably will win another Classic. But Lee Livesey is my guy this week because I'm going local hero.
Okay, what do you got, Todd?
well, I told everyone that I didn't care about like any of this stuff, and I was just going to pick my friends. Like I was just literally picking friends in this event.
Oh, you did give up because you put your name as
Matt's
Todd.
not in the tournament, Todd. Matt is not in the tournament, so you can't
Todd
pick
didn't
him.
have like a snidey live scope title. He did give up. He's just Todd picking friends now.
I'm picking friends. However, after I saw the wind, like all my picks stayed the exact same, and I'm actually feeling pretty good about them. Like it's really good. I was probably going to pick Lee anyways, but I think all this wind just like absolutely makes it. Like I'm loving all this wind, to be honest with you. Because here's why. Here lately, their tournaments are scared of the wind, and they don't have them. And all those guys get out there, and I'm serious. I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about all of them. And like they only go on nice days, and it's these scopers get out there and like they never have to deal with adversity. Well, they're getting some now, buddy. And Lee's gonna freaking hammer on them.
I like it. What do you got, Matt? Group A.
I'm going local too. I agree with Todd. The wind has totally messed this thing up. But one thing that that a lot of wind does is it puts the advantage into the guys who have either A, practiced the most, done their most homework, or B, live here. Zaldane, unlike Lee Livesey, actually fished in the last Fort Worth Classic that was on Ray Roberts. He's also with a company that has a lot of people that they do a lot of filming around the area. I know for a fact that he has put a ton of time into this on a ton of the different parts of the lake, and loved the fact that guys were not able to get out there. The guys that I've talked to that are catching them are guys that have practiced a ton here and have stuff in every quadrant of the lake. And guys that are locals, I agree. I think you can't go wrong with Lee Livesey. I also don't think you can go wrong with Zaldane. The biggest thing with Zaldane, though, folks, is can he close a tournament? He's been in position before. We've seen him pick up big baits and not put them down. If he gets in position, can he close a tournament? I think he can. I got him in Group A.
So my Group A is a bit different. And well, it's not different as far as picks, but I really want to break down real fast who we actually have in Group A. We've got John Cox. Bassmaster went out with him on the final, second day of practice, final day of practice. He catches 2 big ones going in the backs of pockets, throwing a lipless crankbait, doing John Cox stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like going shallower than everyone else. I truly believe that you have a couple different things in play. You can look at the homework thing, and believe me, homework definitely plays. But I think something we all need to take into account is if you look at the Deep Dive app and you see where the wind is not hitting, there's like the western part of the lake, and then you've got some of the eastern pockets. Well, let's just say, for instance, that's where everybody piles up because of the wind effect, right? Well, then at that point, it's going to be the guys who can either A, outfish everyone that's around them, or B, be able to adjust to whatever the wind is, and C, have that experience. So I do think some of these scopers that can just drop it in the middle of a pocket and just roll, I think they'll have obviously a pretty good effect, because they're going to go fish stuff that they never practiced on. They have no preconceived notions, and they're going to roll. Same thing with like a John Cox. It's going to go in the backs of the pockets and go, and he's just going to outfish everyone, because that's what he does when he gets in those situations. But then you have the guys like Lee and Zaldane. I mean, the name that didn't even pop up was Patrick Walters. I mean, he's won twice at Lake Fork. I mean, he is going to be a super solid pick here. Hamner's coming off a classic win. He's an awesome scoper. You got Trey McKinney. I know he spent a lot of time here. I mean, there's a lot of great picks here, and if you are in a situation where you got to catch up, kind of like me, you got to look at different picks. But with all that said, I still went Lee Livesay, because Lee has spent the time.
That was the most me answer I have ever heard in my life. But now
I was waiting for Matt to bring out the shorts effect too. When he said Patrick Walters, like, hey, it's 80 degrees, the shorts are going to come out. It's going to be hot.
Well, so the thing is, the reason I'm going Lee is the last time they're at Lake Fork, I feel like he, obviously didn't have the event that he wanted to have. I know
this ain't Lake Fork.
But that's what I'm going to say, is Lee has spent his time this offseason and a little bit of last year's trying to learn forward-facing sonar, spending his time learning how to do it. You mix in that with the local knowledge that he has, the time that he spent there, and he has gone on record and said this is his favorite lake to ever fish. I have to say, Lee Livesay.
Let me just throw y'all, because I do have a little experience on this lake. This might be like I might have better tournaments on Ray Roberts than any other lake in Texas. Maybe I fished that place 15 times. I think I made a top 5, like 10 of them. Like big events. Like, we smashed them there. I think I've live scoped one fish there. It is 100% like not old school fishing, but you can just go. That place to me sets up in this way. Is history helps. Like, we've had to learn that place, right? We had to learn where they live. You can fish the most unbelievable water over there and never catch a fish. So that's going to help Lee. What goes on this time of the year, and when I say this time of the year, they're not spawning. There won't be a single fish caught off a bed. But like, what goes on? Like, they aren't out there deep. They're going to be shallow. They're going to go freaking. You can just go crush on them like 25-pound line, braid, and like old school. It's awesome. And so, like, I think you can get caught up. Like, when we were there last time, we had scopers on that event, and like the last couple events, dude, no one, like, we smoke all this. Like, the scopers will be out there trying to catch these ones here and there. I'm just telling you, it's gonna be, you can just old school fishermen smash them.
I will say the last time I was there was probably 2 weeks earlier than this, and I crushed them scoping, but it was with a 300D jerk bait, and I did catch a massive bag. I mean, it was unreal.
And I went the next year, and Andrew told me, I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
But then I still smashed him in the tournament. Like, we caught him in,
Y'all caught him in a weird way, but I won't bring up any details.
It wasn't a weird way. It's a freaking it's not a weird way. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the wacky rig that you're just firing up. For you, it's weird because
that wasn't how we caught. That's not how we caught him in that event.
Oh,
that was a different event.
Let's go to Group B. Todd, why don't you lead us off Group B? I mean, I'm kind of curious what Todd does here, because I know as one of his best buddies is in this group. That is going to be that big line guy.
The only thing, this is going to be.
Oh, he's got Todd has a dilemma in this group.
No, I don't have a dilemma.
No, yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, it's not even.
You have a big time dilemma.
I don't even have close to being a dilemma. What scares me is this: is that what I'm about to say is like, if he heard me say it, like he'd roll over. It wouldn't be good. As long as Greg Hackney doesn't throw a jig, I think Hackney has a chance.
You did not say Greg Hackney not throwing a jig. If he doesn't throw a jig,
I just said
you're talking about the guy who is probably right now. If I had to pick a jig fisherman in the best jig fisherman in the country, Greg Hackney would probably be that guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been that guy since Denny retired, hasn't he?
Pretty much. Yeah. No, I don't think that there's anybody better. I mean,
I just said I can't believe I'm saying this, but listen, I also know one of his best friends forever who he's not with us anymore, but he would go throw a jig around that lake and he would have monster bags and practice and things like that. I just don't think he can sustain for 3 days. Now, what I'm talking about is an actual jig drug on the bottom. You can catch giants. I'm just saying, I just hope he does something different, because if he does something different, he will freaking smash them every day.
Wait till the end of the show, folks, where Todd will pick Greg Hackney with a jig as his classic winner.
No, I definitely will not pick it.
So who you got? Group B, Todd.
Me?
Yes. Who do you got?
Is there more than one Todd?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
are
know.
picking Hackney.
I
thought you were going to take Taku.
No, we're not up north
Smallmouth
freaking catching smallmouth.
Okay.
It's not Taco Tuesday. It's not Taco Tuesday either.
What's Taco going to do?
Scope them up, I guess. I mean, it's at 19% right now.
He's going to be
Do you
out there.
think those fish out there have seen an 11-inch nail-weighted centipede on a mosquito hook before?
How is the bait going to get to the bottom? He's going to be out there wind sailing with them all.
He might have to strap himself to the front deck.
Yeah.
There's a few of those in that field that probably need to do that, though. All right, Matt, who you got Group B?
To me, I mean, there's a bunch of really good power fishermen in this. There's a bunch of guys with a lot of experience. But I'm going with the guy who I think put the most time in finding stuff on Ray Roberts. Love him or hate him. Dude, I was just out at a local lake in Oklahoma for a couple days, and this dude was on the water before I got there at daylight and off the water after I got off at dusk, and all he was idling. I don't know how many days he had been there, but I know that JT Tompkins put in just shy of a month out here at Ray Roberts, and if there's a rock pile, if there's a brush pile, if there's a shallow bite, if there's a deep bite, if there's a scope bite, plus, I think the kid's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I'm going JT Tompkins just because I think he's got stuff in every direction that the wind blows and can confidently run up and fish it.
Yeah. I'm not going to say you're wrong there. I think that's a solid pick. Actually, I've been struggling between two picks there as JT Tompkins, Ben Milliken. Ben is one of those guys that has spent an absolute ungodly amount of time on Texas lakes, that whether or not it's that lake or every lake that's similar to that lake, beyond everything else with Ben Milliken, is that dude just goes out there and tries to catch big ones all the time. Like, that is his number one thing. And when you start talking about a classic where they're predicting that the person who wins this event doesn't even catch a limit every day, I think you see a guy like Ben Milliken go out there and literally just go. I mean, he's already come out and said all he's looking for is 6 and 7 pounders the whole tournament. I think you see a guy that if he really sticks to it and goes out there and just tries to catch big ones, you might see him do really well. Todd's saying no, though.
Dude, it's the one lake I'll speak on a lot, man. You better get bit there.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
The whole thing with going out there and trying to catch big ones on big baits, to me, is ridiculous, because we catch absolute monsters out. It's about getting bites.
Yeah.
There's not that many.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Todd. So do you think there's a group of guys who understand where the fish live on that lake and the winner's going to come out of that? Then there's a bunch of guys who are going to fish really good-looking stuff and wonder how the hell there are so many big bags.
It kills me every time me and Russell go there. We practice. We spend 90% of our practice time, maybe not 90, about 75% of our practice time trying to find new stuff. And then we just go back to the stuff. Like, when I say stuff, we go back to the areas that have them and we crush them every single time. and you go fish that, like Russell's like, I cannot believe I'm not getting bit here. That I'm just telling you, every time that when we don't catch them, we catch them most of the time there. It's about getting bites.
How does wind affect water quality, Todd? Like, will this thing be muddy? Will stuff that's
It'll be
historically good suck?
You can't fish most of the stuff. Like, it's going to be a pocket thing anyways. And Andrew's right about one thing. The guys that outfish, like, you can be around everyone and just outfish somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fish is small anyway.
It sets up like that. If you have a guy that just outfishes everybody, I mean, he's gonna absolutely dominate you.
You don't like. I will say one thing: we've never outsmarted them there.
No,
we never had to outsmart them. All you had to do was the only times we got outsmarted was because we tried to do something stupid, and then all of a sudden we freaking went to doing the basic stuff. How we kept, and it freaking worked out. And the more bites we got, it's not like you go catch 2-pounders there.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to get bit, and all of a sudden it's like 4-pounder, 4-pounder, 6-pounder, 4-pounder, and it's just 9-pounder. I mean, it's crazy.
What do you got, Ish? Group B.
I was with you. I was feeling on the big bait deal because we know Ben's going to throw it. I mean, I'm picking old Benny to be the big bait guy. I think there's going to be basically you've got two guys out there that are probably going to throw glide baits and big old shoe swim baits the whole time, and Ben's one of them, and Zaldane's the other, and Zaldane's not in this group, so I'm picking Ben for the win with the big bait. I mean, we're seeing so many different things and so many different aspects in tournament fishing right now. I'm surprised, I heard about Eagle Mountain, and there was some big ones caught in that event, even though the water was chalky and dirty. Polnick caught a 10, broke one off, lost another one, had one bite. Like it could have been, it could have been an epic deal on big baits at Eagle Mountain. So I'm going to go with Ben for the win with the big bait in the hand.
I do think he's one of those guys that locks it in and just rolls, and it's hard to stop. All right, Group C, Matt, who you got?
This came down between two guys with me once again. Homework versus style. I know, man. Like, even if you're with your buddy and it's in a tournament that is for everything, you're gonna throw him some nuggets. You're gonna put him in the right neck of the woods. I think Caleb Sumrall is a really good pick. I think is a really good pick in this group. Just looking at the rest of the guys in this, I mean, I've talked to a couple guys in this group who are like, dude, I haven't caught anything. I talked to some guys that are like, I'm gonna have to make it happen going on. But I'm gonna go back to, well, Todd kind of scared me with the jig comment, but I'm gonna go back to a guy who I know put a ton of work in here. He based on what he said during practice and what I've seen, like, he doesn't seem to be like a guy who gets rattled, who's just gonna stay around where the fish live. I would assume with all the practice he's put in, he knows where they live, and that's Tyler Williams.
Will this
and the jig?
Will this tournament? Do you honestly think that this is going to be a 2-day event?
I know. So this is just based on what I said. I haven't talked to any bass officials, but the people that I have talked to that said that there is a contingency in place. That does not include fishing on Monday unless there's actually like a tie for first place. So we've seen Bass hasn't been afraid to go to 1 day. I think that if they do that, I think it'll just be, and I don't know what their contingency program is, but from what I've been able to piece together, it would be a 2-day full field shootout.
Dude, listen, if someone catches all 10 of the, if it's 2 days, I don't think you can catch 15 fish on a jig on that lake. If he can catch 10 fish on a jig, I think he'll be in the top 3 or top 5.
Let me ask you this, Todd, though. Like, can you roll up? You can roll up on a pre-spawn transition spot and just go whack.
It won't be like that.
There's so few of those anyway.
No, it won't be like that.
It's like 7.
It'll be a tree. It'll be trees.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a tree that they roll
and like
up.
You can catch, but like, dude, you gotta land them all. You got, like, back in the day, they had like a bunch of I'm just telling you, like, I just don't know if you can get 10 bites on it. If you get 10 bites on it and land them all, you'll be in the top 10, top 5.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 days, I'm just telling you, I just know those guys, like some really good ones, and like they tell me about what happened, but that's in a 1-day event, right?
So are
Like,
you more likely to go towards a jerk bait guy versus like a Tyler Avett or something like that who's jerking them off trees?
no, like
I've caught him
like
there jerking, but I think I just got lucky on a no pressure
Big Mac,
day and just
they get
Right.
shallow.
yeah.
They get shallow on that lake.
Yeah.
Big.
Dude,
they
this
got-
is a great field for that because you've got a lot of great power fishermen and you've got a lot of great scopers.
say
And like this is
shallow,
a dynamic field.
They got shallow a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting event. I'll go next. Group C, there's 2 people in this group that I think are your main picks. Obviously Tyler Williams with his jig. I mean, he's just I'm not gonna say he's one dimensional, but like because it's probably not the right term, but like he picks up his jig and that's just what his comfort is, and that's what he throws, and that's what he catches them on. Like, I mean, it's just what it is. And he does scope, and he's figured out a way to combine the two and just smoke on them. Since I know it is such a big time shallow water fishery, especially this time of year, it's hard not to pick a guy like Will Davis Jr. that is a big time swim jigger. I know how big a deal a swim jig is there. You're talking grass fishing. You can fish all kinds of different stuff up there. I really think a Will Davis is going to excel in this event because I do think he's going to outfish a bunch of guys that don't spend as much time up on the bank as maybe others. But I still want Tyler Williams. But you, Ish, who you got?
Oh man, this one was a tough one for me. I had to kind of go off the cusp here. You guys kind of got me thinking about changing my pick for that group, but I'm gonna go with Koyo. I'm still, once again, I've underestimated the power of forward-facing sonar. When I say the wind blows, these guys aren't going to catch them. I mean, I'm using Kentucky Lake as a prime example for the Bass Open, and supposedly, once again, those guys aren't going to catch them. The wind's going to blow, this and that. Forward-facing sonar is not going to be a big player, and then all of a sudden, you look up, and of the top 10, 8 of the guys were forward-facing sonar in the tournament, in the win, and Koyo to me is the best at it. I don't think there's anybody better at it. 2, he's going to bring some kind of fuzzy dice action figure, G.I. Joe with a nose hook in it or something crazy off the cusp and show those bass something that they've never seen before. You talked about how these bass on this lake are, just conventional fishing. Well, he can also do that as well. But he'll come out with a bait or something that the bass haven't seen before, and they might just trounce it. And so I'm going with Koyo. The dude is a winner. I mean, gosh, Matt can tell me he's won 4 Bassmasters in 5 years?
I think 3.
Okay.
Or 2.
Three still winning 3 elite events in 5 years is still stout because there's only very few guys who can say that they've done that.
Yeah, he's won 2.
Oh, he's only won 2?
Champlain and Toledo Bend, but he's only been in it for a couple years. I mean, he's won 1 in 23 and 1 in 24, so he's on pace to win one every year.
Yeah, here we go. We're 25. He'll win another one. Yeah. So Koyo's my guy. Putty fish is the best gear on the planet. $1,500 rods from Daiwa.
Hey, do you remember, Ish, when I was working for Bassmaster, Daiwa came out with sorry, Todd, I just got a quick story. And I was working for this thing called Bass Insider, and I did an article with you, and you were really into fitness, and you wanted to work in your diet. I can't curse on this. This is no BS. And I did an article with Ish. It went out in Bassmaster, and on how Ish had to make sure. And this is what you said. I can pull this up. There's an archive of this, that you didn't lift too heavy a weights because Daiwa's new rods and reels were so light that you didn't want to overpower them and actually lose feel because you got too strong for how light they were. You wanted to at least have a little weight in your head still. So you lifted lighter weights because the Daiwa rods and reels were so light.
I didn't want to be like Caleb Summerall just all buffed out and yoked. But yes, that's absolutely correct. The weights were just light weights for the light rod that we had. But if you guys come to the show, just swing by the booth and pick up Coyle's rod. Everybody just needs to pick up one just because.
Sorry, Todd.
It is the most amazing rod you've ever felt in your entire life, but it is $1,500.
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
All right, Todd.
Also wins tournaments.
Before you pick your Group C, Todd, I got a question for you because this question's come up twice now on our chat, and also there it is right there, the last one I've seen. Will Carolina rig play? I'm going to say this before Todd says this. Todd, to me, is one of the best hard spot Carolina rig guys, OG Carolina rig guys that there is. Like, he's done it for years and years and years and years on Rayburn and other places. And I know, and his team partner, Russell, they're 1A, 1B.
Way better than me.
And he's great,
way
too.
Better.
And they
Way
spent
better.
an absolute ton of time. Somebody even got interviewed at the Classic that was fishing the event, and it was like a dark horse. Like, what do you think is going to win the Classic? And he said a Carolina rig. And so, Todd, as much time as you spent there, as many tournaments as you fished there, do you think the Carolina rig plays?
I've never caught a fish on a Carolina rig there.
That's all I need.
When's the last time a tournament was won on the Carolina rig?
Well, I'm not even knocking the Carolina. I'm not saying it won't catch a fish.
Buddy Gross won an Elite Series in Florida primarily on it, and then in the Open on Toledo Bend 2 years ago, Ben Milliken caught like 40% of his fish on a Carolina rig.
Okay.
All right. So, and actually, that's what somebody said. Is they said they thought Milliken would find a hard spot and dragging it.
There's freaking well. I just know how to catch them there. I'm not lying. Like,
I like Todd. I just know how to catch him there.
Dude, it's like we catch like 20 to 25 pounds every single tournament we ever fished there. Every one.
You should fish the Opens last year, Todd.
Huh?
It would have been handy if you had fished the Opens and popped one last year.
I'm just telling you, that's we've tried all this, and I just know what works.
An easy pick.
And so it was funny. There was two picks on here that I did. One was Caleb Summerall. One was Will Davis Jr. Mm-hmm. I didn't pick Caleb. I don't know why I picked Will Davis Jr. Once Andrew said something about a swim jig, it made this the easiest pick.
Well, you know who the best swim jig fisherman in this group is Wes Logan.
But the way he fishes a swim jig, I don't know. I think Will Davis is more versatile when it comes to fishing a swim jig. It's not just the shaking thing. It's more than
that. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
I'll pick Will Davis. That was easy.
All right.
The only problem with all this, I'm just telling you this right now. This ended up changing my D pick too. But I'm just telling you, man, these are all none of this matters if you're not around. None of it matters. So I am a little bit worried not about the picks, about any of these guys, that if they don't know where to go, it doesn't matter how good a fisherman they are.
Right.
And when I say by where to go, it's just there's in my opinion, there's 5 to 6 creeks to go into. If one of them at least picks one of those.
Yeah.
But you can get some stuff that looks phenomenal and just be wasting your time. And sometimes the stuff that is the best isn't the best.
So they don't like the Alabama shake. It doesn't, the way that lake sets up, I just don't think it doesn't have the right kind of grass.
Yeah, it's not the right time of stuff.
Yeah, it's more hydrilla, a little bit.
It's not even hydrilla. It's mainly milfoil.
Oh yeah, milfoil too. But I did see hydrilla last time I was there, but that was.
Yeah, but it's not if you can find it, but it's very hard to find.
Yeah. All right, let's go Group D.
Wait, who was his pick? Wait,
huh?
Who was his pick?
Will Davis. Are y'all not listening to me?
We listened. We just wasn't sure.
He has on his hat. He was going
I just wanted to make sure, so I didn't have to change. I might would have changed my pick.
That Todd has knowledge and pertinent information about a body of water that we're doing a fantasy fishing show on. I'm not used to that.
Well,
Usually he's on the wrong
these,
lake.
They're not going to these such lakes.
Hate picking scopers.
I'm not picking any scopers in this event.
I mean, he honestly, he thought the tournament was at OHIV, but not at Ray Roberts. But he probably still had the same pick.
Wow.
Hey,
Andrew's taking shots this morning
when he thought it was at St. Clair, or it was like St. Clair, and it was actually at Champlain. He still came.
Yeah, and then he literally was top 10 in the world.
Smoked y'all.
Yeah. I wasn't a part of that one. That was not me.
That's probably good because he kicked everybody's butt. All right, Group D-ish, lead us off.
I am going to go. I need a young guy. You got to always have a pick of a young guy because these young guys are out there stomping fools in tournaments. And one of the best young guys out there, Logan Parks, spends a lot of time fishing. I mean, that's the one thing that I think that these young guys have is an advantage of is fishing a lot. And so he probably came and put the time in and the effort into doing well in the tournament. So I'm going to go with him. I don't know much about him, but I said I got to pick a young guy to win the Classic. And Logan Parks is going to be my pick.
All right. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and blow everybody's mind on this pick.
Okay.
Because I originally had Kyle Patrick and really wanted to see Kyle win this tournament. And I'm not saying that Kyle won't win this tournament because there's always that chance that he rolls into the right deal and ends up catching them. And, you know, you've got a couple of really great scoper picks in here. You've got Logan Parks, you got Easton Fothergill, you got Kyle Patrick. But like Todd said, this is a lake that they fish on and they catch them fishing. And there's two people in this group that I really like. The first person I did not pick, but I think he is a sleeper pick, and that is Wesley Gore. He's a great fisherman. He's actually a really good scoper too, but coming from Alabama, he is one of those guys that just absolutely straight up just fishes. But there's one guy in this group that's a straight up winner. He knows how to win tournaments. He knows how to win a lot of tournaments.
He's my pick.
He's probably one of the best grass fishermen.
You picked my pick.
Out there, Brian Schmidt, straight up great vibrating jig fisherman, great swim jig fisherman. He is, if he sticks to his guns and he goes and does his deal, he is going to catch them at this event, and he knows how to win tournaments. So, Brian Schmidt.
I like that because I thought about him and stuff, but the trees kind of threw me off. That standing timber. Yeah. You guys still keep saying no to that, man. Them big ones, them 8s, 10s, 12s, which Texas has, them fish, that's where they spawn. They don't spawn on the bank.
They're not spawning.
Get in the forks of those trees.
That's not true.
They're not big ones. The big ones are close.
No, they're not.
You don't think they're close. Close to 60-degree water temperature. You don't think they're close.
Trust me. One, they're not even close where I mean, they're barely spawning where I'm at. I went there.
Barely.
I went yesterday. I caught like whatever. But it was the most perplexing thing I've seen over the last 2 days. It doesn't matter about that deal. They will get shallow. Like I remember how I said they'll get shallow a month ago. The tree is to catch a 35-pound bag and 40-pound bag over there. It's in the trees. There's almost zero chance someone will do it 2 days in a row. I would be surprised if you can do it one day.
But if he does that one day, that doesn't that give him the head?
But it's so hard. I'm telling y'all right now, the whole live scoping thing and everything. Maybe I'm dead wrong on all this, and I'm usually wrong on the live scoping thing. I just don't think y'all are taking into this the wind deal, the wind and the live scope and all this. I think it's a massive deal.
Did you watch any live at Kentucky Lake, Todd?
No.
That deal, dude, Todd, the wind blew 20. And these dudes can't even keep their trolling motor in the water, and they're still catching them forward-facing sonar, and I couldn't believe it. I wanted to throw up. I'm like,
do you know what's out there at Kentucky Lake?
What's out there at Kentucky?
Smallmouth, and they ain't out. And when you get on this lake, it ain't wide open water. You're in the freaking middle. Like there's, it is just
Straight
just-
I'm not saying you're wrong, Todd.
If it makes
I
you
just,
feel any better, Ish, I did that exclusively for 2 full days.
There
and I
ain't a
caught
lot of-
1 2-pound 7-ounce fish.
Ask anyone
but
from Ray Roberts.
did you see the show though? Because I'm like, what did I miss? I had to
So-
see that, because I feel like I'm a good crankbait fisherman, and I was like, okay, we're gonna catch them cranking. This is the deal, and it's windy, it's perfect, and then all of a sudden I see them, and they start out live with guys catching them forward facing sonar, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
By the time the show had started, I had already I had conquered most of my self-loathing, so I didn't want to relive that. So I mean, I just did enough to where I could speak educatedly on it. But no, I mean, I did not immerse myself with a gallon jug of Rocky Road ice cream and a bottle of vodka while it was live.
Did you pour the vodka on the Rocky Road ice cream?
All right, Matt, who did you pick Group D?
Yeah. So it seems like every classic, there's a dude who you kind of hear from another dude, or a dude who's friends with a guy who's not in it, who's kind of on the down low. This guy might be cast, catch, count, and mount come Derby Day. And then you talk about him a lot. I'm going Brian Schmidt as well. He hasn't been really
this is
around.
a big
He's
curveball because I'm
low-key.
really surprised. Here.
Maybe a little I've been in Fort Worth for a couple days. You hear a couple names get mentioned under the table. It's you really ought to look out for,
Ish. Maybe you should spend the day after. You go to Ray Roberts. I guarantee you, if you did, it would probably be one of your top 5 favorite lakes to go to.
Really?
Yeah. I just don't think you realize it's not what it's. I can tell by your how you're talking. It's not what you think it is, and I guarantee you, within a couple hours, you look at me and this is what it's about.
Here. I have fished here one time, and I hated the lake. So once again, I am a firm believer exactly what you said. You can fish the most beautiful looking stuff and not catch a bass. And if you don't know where they live, you won't catch them. And that's what happened during the one time that I did fish here. Is I fished some amazing grass, low water, perfect scenario stuff, and never had a bite. And then I catch one off of some random little deal, and I caught another one right after that. And I'm just like, this is the stupidest looking thing ever, but they must just live here. And this spot, and it was dirt shallow. And so, I can see that exactly what you're talking about.
I'm
Todd,
getting excited. I like the place.
Did Todd make his pick?
No. Yeah, Brian Schmidt.
Oh,
Brian
Schmidt.
So we went Brian Schmidt 3, and you went. Who'd you go with? Ish.
Logan Parks.
Logan Parks.
I like it.
My young gun pick.
I do like it. All right, Todd, lead us off. Group E. What you got?
I just I'm gonna be I only knew I've heard of him. And then all I did was after that look to where they're from. So I went Josh Butler.
I like it.
I don't know. I don't know. I know he's caught him. So
yes.
What you got, Matt?
To me, this was super easy. I'm going big fish. Let's go with what Todd said. Location is really important. You can fish a bunch of really good stuff and not get bit. Not afraid of the wind, and a combination of power and scope. I think Kyle Austin is easily the number 1 pick in this bucket, just for all of those reasons.
Yeah,
the guy lives on Santee Cooper. He guides on Santee Cooper. He won the Open on Santee Cooper. He won the BFL on Santee Cooper.
Yeah, I do think that Kyle sets up for this, and that was my pick as well. He's fished the Opens the last couple of years, and that's been the kind of the gauntlet of fishing. I mean, it's hard. You got to figure out how to catch them in crowds, and he's not going to have a crowd, and he'll have some way to figure them out to catch them. He does like to throw lipless crankbait a lot, swim jig, chatterbait. He spends a lot of time doing those things, and obviously Santee has a lot of standing timber. A little bit different situation than Ray Roberts, but I think if he just kind of settles down and gets in his comfort zone, he'll do well. The other one, the sleeper pick here for me is Connor Jacob. He is a college angler, right, Matt?
Yeah, he was. So he qualified through the Bass Nation on Grand. He caught the majority of his fish down lake on a drop shot, and then followed that up with like a jig and a moving bait up lake. He's, I believe, an Alabama dude, super nice, young dude. So yeah, he seems like one of those guys from what I've met and known of him who like doesn't really let much bother him. He just kind of rolls out and fishes. He drove all the way up to Champlain to qualify for the national championship in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I just think when you look at these college guys that are coming, the trend we've seen at least with these guys coming out is
he's 25 years old.
Yeah, but that's still, I mean, he's less than 30.
Yeah, that's a fair
those younger guys tend to be better with their electronics. They spend a lot of time with their electronics. Most of them that come out and see a lot of success are about 3 times better with their electronics than most of us. So, but I'm still going Kyle. I do think he has a good tournament here. What you got, Ish?
This was the toughest pick for me because I didn't know too much about a lot of those guys, so I started looking at where they were from. That's where I was hoping that Matt could fill me in a little bit on my pick. Blake Caps. Don't know much about him, but I do see that he had a high percentage in that group, so I went with a guy that was local or close to be local here, and also a high percentage pick. So what do we know, Matt, about Blake?
Power fisherman, loves dock fishing, throwing a jig,
No dock,
spinnerbait, cranking. He is not a scoper by any means. He's a little bit of an old throwback dude. He won the Bass Nation. He's on the Elite Series. He actually quit his job full time, has been fishing for the last 2 months full time. This is his first class. He came down, he practiced. The wind is impacting him. I'll straight up tell you what he told me. He's like, I ain't getting many bites, but when they do, it's a freaking big one. But that's what I heard so many of the guys say in this, that they're like, dude, like if you ask me how I feel about this bite wise, I do not feel good. If you ask me how I feel about it size wise, then they just need one little thing to go right, and they've got 3 for 24.
There we go. So there's my shallow water freaking mud guy. And I got my all-around picks. I feel good about it now.
I did see this. They said Porosnik caught 2 10s in practice shallow. I don't know where this guy heard it from, but it wouldn't surprise me. Just based off the photos that Bass shared of John Cox with his 2 big ones, that would not surprise me whatsoever.
Will the shallow fish last, Todd? Or like, let's say there's a day where it's calm. I mean, it's not like one of those things where
Calm.
No, like if there's only a little bit section of the lake where the guys are in, like, I mean, like, how do the shallow fish behave here? Is it just like you go down and one or two?
They're way more dependable than anything. And when I say deep, like 10 foot deep, they're way more dependable. Way more. I trust them way more.
We did talk about John Cox. We do think he will outfish anybody.
It's just not the same. It's just like, I think if it was 2 weeks from now, I'd pick John Cox to win the entire event.
Yeah.
I see that other comment. I've got Tyler Williams in seat, but there's a good chance, literally based on what Todd and Andrew have said, that I'm going to switch that to Caleb Sumrall.
I think like I said, it's if some of these guys we pick get in the right area, these are like smallmouth picks when we go up north, when you're like, they're going to be in the top 20. This is easy. Some of these guys, if they get around, they're easy picks. If they just, I might look at live and go, oh, I might look where they're at and go, oh no, he's not going to catch him. And it's not his fault. Maybe just, maybe they didn't go,
Right.
All right, guys, let's go here. What is the winning bait this week? I'm actually more curious. I'm going to let Todd go last here. Because I do know of his experience here, what he knows and all those things. But Matt, how about you lead us off?
Winning bait this week?
Winning bait.
I think it's like 5 different baits. I don't think there is a winning bait this week. I think it's going to be won by guys doing something like maybe a swim bait offshore. I think you're going to have a chatterbait fish. You might have a couple flipping fish. You might have a minnow or a Nico rig fish. I think it's going to be a pile of baits. Like, I don't think the riders and media are going to like this tournament. I don't think it's going to be, hey, here's what won the Classic.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. What about you, Ish? What do you think?
I kind of feel the same way, but I'm gonna go with 2 baits that are gonna be, not necessarily polar opposites, but one, you got the big glide, which is the water's clean enough for it, and with the wind and there's big fish, you put the glide on there, and then old Mr. Consistency himself, the old spinner bug. The spinner bait could be, somebody puts on a big spinner bait and just goes down the bank and just catches once again 20 pounds, and then the next day catches 20 pounds again, then the next day catches 20 pounds again and wins the Classic.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm going 2 baits. I'm going a swim jig in the grass, and I'm going a vibrating jig in the grass. If I had to bet everything on it, that's what I think would roll. What about you, Todd?
Same. I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. I just think that's what wins.
And if the more they make this a 3-day event, the easier it is for those
2-day
guys.
event. You mean 2-day event?
No, I'm saying the more they go 3 days, the easier it is. Like the easier that is done.
Oh, that's been in the winning.
2-day thing, a jig could definitely go dominate.
I don't think a spinner bait. I don't even know if we'll see a fish get caught on a spinner bait. But
really,
why?
Grass, wood, spinnerbait, most consistent freaking bait. Hey, has won a tournament this year already. Big one. Just saying. I mean, that spinnerbait is still probably the most versatile bait in the country, catching them anywhere and everywhere.
Wow.
So, because if we came down and I fished like Cali or Ish is, I'm like, I catch him on this bait when I come down here, and he'd probably just look at me like, yeah, put that up, dude. You're not going to catch anything on it. That's how I feel about some of this stuff.
That's how you feel. That's how you feel about the spinnerbait. Just put it up.
It's just about this lake. It's
gotcha.
Like I said, the big fish. So here, I'm just going to throw this out there. I think I've caught a 10-pounder there every single time in practice doing something, and I haven't caught a fish there in the tournament doing that. But if I just go back to what gets bit, we freaking smash them every time.
Gotcha.
And that's where I'm looking at it, is like, this is not a freaking sprint. It's a marathon. And I'm just telling you, watch the number of fish. I could be wrong, and maybe it's good. Like, I just think it's going to be hard to get bit. It always is. And when I say hard to get bit, not catch a limit every time, but like, I had 7 bites today or 6. Like, the guy that comes in with like 12 bites throwing, if some guy who goes out there and gets 12 bites on a chatterbait, he's in the top 5.
Definitely.
This sounds like a badass tournament. It sounds like we're going to have power fishing. We're going to have big fish. Every bite's going to matter. The conditions are going to change.
Dude, if y'all want to go see, if y'all want to see me go freaking crazy, is if they sent those guys out there in the worst possible wind ever and don't let them go out there in tournament. Like, I could understand them canceling a day. They shouldn't let them go out there.
We're going to touch on that at the end. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
All right. Who is the favorite to win?
I go first. I hadn't been first in a while, so I was just making sure I got to go first again. I mean, yeah, you roll your eyes all you want, but Matt even saw it. That's why, I got to go first, but thank you. I'm going Lee for the win. I'm going local hero for the win. I mean, that's the one pick that we all seem to agree on that's going to do well in the tournament, even in Group A, which has a lot of great hammers in it. Lee for the win.
I'm going Brian Schmidt for the win. That is one thing that, Schmidt's won an absolute ton of tournaments, and most of his tournaments, not all, but most of his tournaments have come fishing milfoil or some type of vegetation with a swim jig, chatterbait, along those lines. I just think this one sets up for him maybe as good or better than anything. The only thing that worries about Schmidt, though, is the last couple of years he's got super, super, super big and forward-facing sonar, and I just hope
I hope he takes it all off for this event.
Yeah.
Yeah, with 14 graphs on the front, the whole.
I just
He
want him
had
to go
more
do
graphs
Brian
than everybody
Schmidt
at
stuff.
one point.
Yeah, he just needs to go do Brian Schmidt stuff, and I think he'll be just fine. Matt, who you got?
I mean, I had my two that I was going to say were Lee and Brian Schmidt, but the dark horse that we haven't talked about in all this is the guy who's won back-to-back, one of which it was in Texas under adverse conditions, up shallow on a hard. I mean, I could see Jordan Lee winning 3. Like he's not he's going to be around him. When was the last time Jordan Lee wasn't around him? And he can literally do everything.
What about you, Todd?
Lee, the more it blows and the more they go 3 days, that easier that pick is.
Yeah, but I mean, if I had to pick one, I'm going Lee Livesey.
I would be worried if it wasn't blowing. I think the scopers could
Figure
but
it
I
out.
don't think. I think the more it blows, the more they got. They're in
Let me
trouble.
ask you this, Todd. Do you think if they go, do you think there'll be guys that are convinced they're going to come in with 35 pounds and a 10-pounder that go out there and get their brains beat in and maybe catch one?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Yeah. I don't know
And
about
same-
one, but they might catch 2 or 3. But it won't be like
It won't be like they did in practice.
yeah.
The only thing I will say that I've never fished a tournament out there with 50 guys.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Right. Yeah. So we're going out there. I mean, we're always out there with 150, 200. So I mean, that's hard fishing, isn't it? Ish. I mean, going against 50 guys. I mean, that's supposed to be kind of funny, but not really. I mean, it like I've never fished a tournament against 50 guys in like the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But that would be wild to go out there with that.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, and I've done it, and it's pretty awesome, and it's
Yeah.
cool, especially with limited practice too. It's man, the fish are so much unpressured. They're not beat on. They feel a little. I guess they feel a little bit more free. They don't hear the boats all running out there. It's pretty awesome.
I'll be honest. Like I have not ever gone out there and done that. So like maybe, we're always out there against 200 guys all fishing the same water. I mean, maybe it is a lot easier to go get bit when there's only 50 guys out there and they haven't been practicing. But they still got to go out there day 2 and day. I've only had one. No, I fished at least 2-day events out there.
Yeah. There's one name that we haven't brought up, and the only reason I want to bring him up is I don't know how he gets overlooked all the time, and not all the time, but he's been overlooked quite a bit, and that's John Garrett. John Garrett has really turned the corner on some of the stuff that he's been doing, using a combination of sonars and spending his time. If there was a true dark horse, and I say dark horse, he's the leading angler of the year right now, but somebody that hasn't spent a lot of time maybe on Ray Roberts, that is just fishing at an extremely high level, and that is John Garrett. And he's doing things like, I mean, everybody thought he would just go forward-facing sonar at Okeechobee, and he went flipping pads. I mean, he's just a guy that I really do. He's just a good, well-versatile fisherman right now.
Yep.
Whatever I said about Hackney, by the way, with the jig, the last comment on here is so much more wild than what I said.
What's the comment?
Tyler's catching up to Hackney pretty fast with the jig.
No way.
Maybe in like 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no way. That must be some young guy who has no clue about Mr. Hackney. He's been doing this a long time with his
I remember
jig.
like 15 years ago at remember he was catching them at Texoma, flipping that big 3/4 ounce.
Yeah, it's hard to live scope fish out of trees and grass and everything.
Yes.
But do you remember when he did that at Texoma when the water was
I
up?
talked to him.
So I went after that, and I got a bunch of big jigs and went down to Texoma. And I just remember thinking, how in the hell does he get these things in and out of this stuff? And like you watch him do it, and it just looks like you're just. I mean, it just looks like he's just
Well,
like punching
yeah.
grass, and then you go do it yourself,
Whatever
like on
you-
those exact type of bushes, and you're like, what in the hell?
Whatever you bought, I guarantee was not what he was throwing.
Well, he
I'm
was
saying
also
it was
doing
a-
that big. He was also punching that big rodent too.
He was throwing a Strike King jig, no doubt. But I guarantee you, he's got Strike King jigs that you've never seen before.
Okay, well that makes me feel better because I think I went through about a dozen Strike King jigs in half an hour on my first row of bushes, and I was like, "What the hell?" Like I would pitch it down, and it would just be like, "Don't," like just stuck, like just no getting it back. Like I went through like 2 eyes on guides on my rods and a dozen
He's
jigs,
got-
and said,
he's got-
"Hackney's
got-
a god."
He's got wild jig. Like him and Phil used to like make jigs all the time, and like they were. Yeah, he's got like a jig for a specific reason.
If you want to compare Tyler Williams to Greg, go back and watch Greg Hackney at the Bass Fest event on Lake Texoma, and you will see a jig master at work.
That's like I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not dogging anyone ish or anybody, but like that's like saying, and I don't know who y'all would consider like the old school best jerkbait fisherman ever, and then comparing it
Van
to a
Dam.
guy who
Stacey King.
Damn, sorry.
okay, and then comparing it to a guy with live scope out there with a jerkbait, saying that that's the same thing. Like I don't care. Like yeah, I can get hate for this. That is not the same thing.
Oh no, I'm with Todd.
I know.
I'm 100%
I
with
know
you.
you're with me, Ish, but I'm
Yeah.
just telling you that is not the same thing.
But
Like when you have to
actually,
figure all
this is
that out.
probably the comment as far as who's the best jig fisherman. Fat Cat, he's been the best since '87 with the
Randy
jig.
Randy
so-
Flowers is pretty good too with the jig.
Oh yeah, his jig game's strong.
His jig game strong.
Oh,
He might have Hackney at this point.
there's
All right,
about
guys,
10% of the
let's
people that are listening to that go, huh? What?
The
Who?
tiebreaker weight. What are we looking at tiebreaker weight? I know that the crappy thing is we have to pick this before we know if it's a 2 or 3 day tournament.
Oh yeah.
I'll go ahead and lead us off. I went 75 pounds even. On the outside,
Damn.
we go 3 straight days.
I got to
25
go back and change my pick.
But I just think it's going to be a heavier weight because there's going to be some guys that figure it out and they're going to roll with it.
I got to leave in a minute and a half.
Okay, go.
All right. What you got,
I got
Matt?
73-11.
Okay. Todd, what do you got?
63.5.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Is that 2? So Todd thinks it's a 2-dayer.
No, he thinks it's 3 days. He can definitely.
I
do
was-
that. What do you got, Ish?
I was with Todd. I was with Todd at 65 pounds. I'm gonna have to bump mine up a little, I think.
I wouldn't say that. I just think I think there's going to be one guy that goes out there and just wrecks on them better than everybody else. And I think it could be like a Lee that just goes out there and like, if he figures it out, he gets confident. Like, I just think you could see him just straight.
Is it going to
wreck.
be like, Todd, is it going to be like a 30-20-18 or is it going to be like 22-22-22?
Most of the tournaments we go out there in team events, 30 never usually wins. So like
So it's up north of 30.
no less. So like
Less than 30.
So
okay.
last year I came in second. Listen, last year I came in second out there. It was a little bit later than this. I had 4 fish. No, I'm sorry. I came in 5th. I only had 4 fish for 21, right? And I think second was like 22. And then we came in second the year before out there. Around this time we had 23 and first place was like 28. But I'm just telling you, like 25 is a big bag. I think if you come back 25, 20, and like 18, I think you got there's not a lot of 30-pound bags out there, and we got perfect days to do it. I just don't I think y'all are discounting this win thing.
Well, Matt, we're going to send you on. We're going to go into a little bit of an opinion piece just for a few minutes. But guys, if you're here to see Matt, he's getting off. He has other events going on. He's in the media and he tries to go do a bunch of
I
stuff.
doubt anyone was, so it's okay.
Yeah. So
Thanks for that friendly send off.
I've got sponsor stuff to do too, and you guys are just holding me up. But Matt's free to go. Thanks. Bye, Matt.
Well, I mean,
you
I'm
can go
I,
too. Me and Todd can dish this out because there's definitely a couple things we need to talk about.
what is the
Well,
opinion piece?
Huh?
What are the opinions?
Well, hey, you said you had to go in a minute and a half. I just don't want to hold you up there, big dog.
I feel like that was a sarcastic big dog.
That was kind of a little sarcastic, big dog.
Yeah,
That
that's
wasn't
like
he
that's
really
like
doesn't think you're a big dog.
Al or buddy.
Yeah.
It's never good when you get hit with the big dog.
You know what?
Unless
I'm
you
probably gonna
are
have
the
to
big
mute
dog.
Matt off here anyway, because I didn't realize somebody said love the hat, and he's wearing a Boomer Sooner hat, and I don't. I can't get down with that.
Well, here's the deal. I try not to conflict with any of the sponsors that you have on your channel, Andrew. So I try to go clothing and brand neutral.
I don't care.
I'll bring a little class to the show.
Try to be as open and people want real stuff, and that's what we're going to talk about is real stuff here.
So, all right, come on, then let's get on this real stuff because I can.
Matt, are you leaving or are you
3
staying?
minutes?
Well, it depends on what it is. I got 5 minutes.
All right,
I got 3.
So Todd brought up a very interesting point earlier that he wanted to chat about for a second, and that was about the cancellation day, about the wind and all that stuff. And then we've had a bunch of different comments on here about the wind. They sent them in practice. The first day of practice, they sent them. And arguably one of the hardest winds that they've ever actually sent people out. You know, I mean, it was like sustained 40, 50 mile an hour winds, gusts of 60, 65. What is the difference with them sending out practice at 60 mile an hour winds and then saying, oh, wait, but y'all aren't good enough to go during the tournament? How is it any different when it comes to that stuff?
Only if you have to like go out in it. So like if you have to leave. So Rayburn was a big one, right?
Stuff. Yeah.
Right. So like if it's blowing, and I assume they're going out of where are they going out of?
The park.
Oh, the state park?
Yeah.
If like you're loading at the state park and there's like 5 and you're like having to go out there, but if it's calm, if it's blowing, that's what made me mad about the Rayburn deal. Like the southwest winds that were coming through at Rayburn. You're going out in dead calm water. It's your choice to go out there in them, but you can basically drive almost 90% of the lake and you didn't have to get out there in them. That's my only deal is like, I understand if you look out there and you're like, wait a minute, you're sending me out. I'm taking off in the worst possible stuff. Now, if you're like, well, you know, I drove all the way up the lake and it's horrible up there. Well, that's your choice. And that's why, and I know a lot of guys on Rayburn, and y'all did it too. Y'all y'all saw the weather forecast, and y'all practiced for it. You found fish on both sides of the lake, and prepared for like, okay, I can see what I'm doing. I'm prepared for this, and then you wasted all that time when they're like, nope, now you don't go. That's my issue. Yeah. If they cancel this, I have no problem. They shouldn't have let him go and practice then.
That's where I'm at. Like, have the same. Like,
consistency.
I mean, you sent them out in like easily maybe the worst conditions any of them have ever even seen. In practice,
but it was also their choice. You didn't have to go out.
Okay, but who would not go out?
That's my point.
I'm just saying that's the difference.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That as long as you're not forced to go out in like the worst possible, if it's bad, it's your choice on where you want to go. But I'm always saying, as long as you can, it's not like just terrible where you take off from, then I think you should go.
Yeah. Ish, you were in this event, the 2013 Elite Series on Falcon Lake that Rick Clunn had in the bag because he was fishing it based on the conditions and was close to, he was tucked around over by the bridge throwing that square bow, and you had Keith that was down by the dam that was throwing the chartreuse powder blue back. And, based on the conditions, and it was interesting later, Clunn actually was with the tournament director on canceling the day, but like, he had fished for those conditions and was going to go catch another 30 pounds that day, whereas Keith wouldn't have even been able to fish his spot. They ended up canceling that day with weather. It was one of the first, I believe, controversial weather cancellations that I remember ever in bass history over a decade ago. And that kind of started this whole conversation because at the time, guys were saying, hey, it took one away from Clunn. It totally changed it. It shouldn't have been canceled. You practice for the conditions. I remember doing a lot of articles with guys that were like, yeah, like we look at that, we know what it is. We're professionals. Rick out-thunk us in this one, but didn't get the payoff because they canceled it.
But that's part of what it was back then. I mean, if you can go back to the years of Ray Scott and look at some of those conditions that they would send those guys in. I mean, those guys were
asinine.
basically, they submarining 18-foot Rangers and Skeeters back in the day, and they were sent out in that stuff. And now it's just like, man, the wind blows, 10 miles an hour the wrong direction, and we're canceled. But we do have a lot more high-powered bass boats. We do have a lot more, what I would say, inexperienced boat drivers, which we've seen over the years, there has been accidents. And you didn't hear about those accidents back in the day. So I kind of understand. And the fact is that we're in a sue happy world. And the first person that they're going to blame is they're going to blame Bass for sending them out in conditions that, I couldn't handle that, and they should have never sent me out in that. There's always an excuse. So I get where Bass is coming from, but I'm also the same guy at the old school angler. Is we used to go out and stuff that, like you say, we had a choice. And we would practice based upon that choice of what the weather conditions were going to be.
Like, I agree with everything you said, Ish, but I totally disagree with the fact, it's not that I disagree. It's, you made one comment that I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with everything you said. The fact that that's what we're going to do from here on out is not good for
no, I'm with you on that. I'm 100% with you on that.
But I'm saying is since that's where we're headed, I think I'm not the Debbie Downer here, but it's just like, all right, well, if that I understand that's where we're headed, and that's why I think fishing is not as good as it used to be.
Yeah, 100%. You do look at guys like Rick. I mean, I wish we had Clun on here because I would love to hear Clun's take on all this, but. I mean, even at that Falcon event, he looked at the extended forecast because I watched an interview. He looked at the extended forecast and he's like, I know the wind's going to blow. I need to have something that's close. I need to have something that's more protected. And that was literally how he built his game plan. And then you say, well, hey, by the way, since the wind's blowing, you're not going to actually get to go fish.
And like, I had an old boat for years. Like, I qualified in a 10-year-old boat for the elites.
I know.
Every tournament I fished back, and then I had to look at the weather because I couldn't. I mean, y'all bring up the Falcon event. We had a Falcon event in a Toyota that was like the worst I'd ever seen it. And I'm like, what are you going to do, Todd? I'm like, I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to learn everything I can right next to the ramp because like I can't do it. And our buddy actually was leading that. I think he won the event. And I'll never forget, like after day one, I didn't catch him, but I had my old boat and I was like, whatever. And I drove by and I didn't know him at the time, but I saw his boat and the whole front cap and trolling motor was hanging off. Like the front, like the first 5 feet of his boat was all fiber and like hanging over the trolling motor on the ground. And I was going, I don't have the money to he was leading it and he went down there in it. But I was like, I don't have the money to like fix a boat like that. So like, then I just had to make a choice.
Yep.
But it wasn't like we still had the tournament. I just think that you can have tournaments more.
Yeah, go to.
Too bad you're leaving because this next topic will be good. We'll see, buddy.
Later. Bye.
And I gotta go take some medicine.
Well, you can take medicine in a minute. I've gotten 2 messages in the last 24 hours. I actually marked that 3 messages in the last 24 hours. Are we going to see a DQ in this event?
No, I don't think so. Have you heard of anything?
I've heard of a couple things, but I don't know anybody's name whatsoever, but I've literally gotten 3 messages about it in the last 24 hours.
I've been on the water the last 2 days. I haven't heard anything.
I know, but I just, especially, and the only reason I even bring it up, and I'm not trying to create drama or anything like that. I mean, literally, people are messaging me about it. I just, with everything that's going on the last 2 events on the elites, we've lost an angler in each one. Are we going to actually see one? I really hope we don't, for the simple fact that I just think we're DQ happy right now and they're headhunting or whatever. What do you think?
I'll say this. I don't. So in that, they shouldn't be swayed. Okay, how do I say this? They shouldn't be swayed. I don't like all these people in comments all over the country commenting on what they should do about their rules, and
Yeah.
that they don't like them or this or that or all do away with the no info rule, all these different things. And here's why, no offense, this is why I could care less about any of those people. They're not in this event. They're
Yeah.
not fishing the Bassmasters. The guys in the elites voted for the rule.
Yeah.
You almost see zero of them complaining about it. Zero of them. So if they're not complaining about it, they don't need your help complaining about it. They want the rule there for a reason. And so if they're not complaining, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be going out there, because I promise you, y'all have no idea what y'all are talking about at certain times. I'm not being mean. I'm just saying they're like, there's always more to everything. And I'm just telling you, there's things going there. You look at this rule and go, oh, this is what it is. I'm telling you, it's not. And I just think you shouldn't be complaining when they're not complaining about it. Just like I complained about them not having the tournament on the Bassmaster Open on Rayburn. I wasn't in that event. However, have you heard of almost anyone from that event happy that they canceled it? No. So like, don't sit there. Same thing. If they're the ones complaining that they should have had it, there's your consensus. So you're not seeing all these elite guys going in there saying, oh, they have to, they should change this rule. You're not hardly seeing any elite guy saying that whatsoever. Yeah. So you shouldn't be on the other side, like fighting a fight that they don't want.
Right. Well, and see, the thing that worries me, and I'm not, like I said, I have zero names. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I have zero names. I just got a couple messages that were like, hey, we think there's an outside chance that somebody gets DQ'd in this event. And they were asking me if I had info, and I was like, I at the first one, I was like, I have no idea what you're even talking about, because I haven't even heard anything. The thing that worries me is the fact that there were so many people pre-practicing, which I would do the exact same thing. I would spend my time. I would go like work, everything that any of the other guys did, as far as like going to work and practicing and graphing and doing all that stuff. I think maybe more so than any other event, this is the one event that you're going to see guys that possibly got info, that possibly, kind of stretch that boundary a little bit too far, because it is the biggest event in bass fishing as far as money, as far as, prestige, things like that. And I truly pray that nobody does. It's for the simple fact that you don't want that on your resume, especially in that event, more so maybe than anything else, when there's literally 3 or 4 times more eyeballs on it than any other event that you fish. But I'm really, really hoping that it's not. And the only reason I bring it up, because I was more so curious if you'd heard anything, because I hadn't talked to you about this at all outside of this exact conversation.
I hadn't talked to any yet. I don't know. I will say one thing. I think that rule. Are we really getting into this right now?
I mean, we don't have to get deep into it, but I was just.
You don't have to take a deep dive into it. All I'm going to say is I think that rule has been like whatchamacallit said. The enforcement from Bass has been long overdue.
Yeah,
they're starting to do it. This isn't a new thing. This has been going on for years. When I say years, 20-something years. And I think the more this happens, I think the less I think it will eventually take care of itself. I mean, I'm not jumping on Bass here, but they kind of like created a little bit of a monster here by not doing stuff, I think, in the past. Yeah. And now they're having to, and everyone's like all up in arms. And if you talk to all of us fishermen that have like fished semi in this kind of, I by no means have me and you fished in elites here, but we fished enough opens, enough professional events, been around all these leagues enough. The stuff has been going on for a long time. Not one single fisherman that's been doing this for 5 or 10 years is shocked by any. like zero shock.
Yeah.
So we're all just like, yeah, finally.
Well, so actually, part of the reason I bring this up is because I did read an opinion piece yesterday. I truly don't remember who wrote it, but I know for a fact I read it. I'm almost positive. But the opinion piece was about information and was about, okay, where do you draw the line on the information stuff? What do you want it to be? What do you not want it to be? Everybody wants it to be like no info, all this stuff now. Like, I want to see who the best fisherman was like it was back in the day. That is not an accurate representation of what actually happened. 15, 20 years ago, the no information rules were almost non-existent. They were not enforced. The guys that you think were the best fishermen in the world were the ones with the better contacts, the most money, and they knew everybody to talk to. What forward-facing sonar has done is leveled that playing field. Actually, I want to say it was Brian Latimer. That's who actually posted this, and he was an extremely good portion of information when it comes to this, because the guys that we looked up to for years and years and years, I'm not saying all of them, because there's anomalies and there's guys that just like went fishing, like a Greg Hackney or somebody like that. But there's a lot of guys that got a ton of information back in the day that caught them. And I'm not trying to point anybody out. It's just what it was.
So look, there's probably no way people would ever know this, but there are guys on the elites I will never pick in a fantasy.
I know that, but yeah,
I will never pick them. And here's the thing: I don't think they're bad guys. I don't think that, but like I know everyone has to take a step back, and if you fish enough on your local lake, this could be some I don't care if it's a 50, 25, man club deal. There's been a time where you went and fished a tournament, and then you found out later that the guy won it, right?
Yeah.
Like totally was shown a spot or did whatever, or like was told about it, shown it, saw the guy the weekend there before, and then went and whole jump, all that stuff, right? Well, once I figured that out about you, like I just don't have any, I just don't consider you like top level fisherman. It's not a knock, whatever. So I've been around some of those top level fishermen that are like, I know how they do things. They're wow. They're good, right? Yeah. There's other guys that, and you'd be surprised, but you got to realize, man, like I have a lot of knowledge of Ray Roberts. I have a lot of knowledge around Texas lakes. I know sometimes when a tournament was held here and how the guy won, and I'm sitting here going, I know the phone call he made. I know he made it to the best fisherman ever. No one says a word. And I'm like, he got all of that stuff from that fisherman, and no one will ever say a thing. And I'm just like, is he good? Or like, oh, you still got to catch him. Look, man, at this level, I'm telling you right now.
Just to say, that was all pre-forward-facing sonar stuff. That was like when you guys went fishing, and like new hard spots, new places that you could catch them cranking. Like it was a big deal.
So even like Ray Roberts, it's taken us a couple years to like figure out whether. I'm telling you right now that like I'll use Ish as an example. I'm like, hey Ish, this is where I want you to go for a day. Like I would circle like, and some of them would be like big areas, and some of them would be like, hey, this pocket that you can power pull down in, just fan cast right there.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Ish would come back, and I guarantee he'd look at me like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. And then you could have fished for a mile and never caught a fish. It's just Ray Roberts. I had to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
I do have a lot more. Anyways, my point being is that like I think that stuff matters. And so when these guys go figure stuff out, and you see, and you can tell the guys that figure it out, So I mean,
I do think that's a really important aspect of this. I mean, there's rules been made for a reason. There forever time, like there's been rules that like whether it be no information, limited practice, the last time you could be on the water is because they, whoever it was realized that this rule needed to be in place because it was being exploited. Whether it be the information, whether it be guys staying on the body of water for 3 straight weeks leading up to the event whereas everybody else was spending 3 days. That was a big deal in the opens. There was a lot of anglers that would literally go from one open to the next location and stay the entire time until it was time for the open. So therefore they implemented that 30-day off limits, and the co-angler aspect of things was another big one. I mean, you're talking, there was guys out there that had professional style anglers as co-anglers. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a difference between putting your best buddy that, just like throwing a worm around in the back of your boat and somebody that can break down water as good as you can.
I have never in my life, ever, if a guy went practicing with me in practice as a co-angler, which is totally allowed. Yeah. I've never had that be a disadvantage ever. It has always, I don't care if it's one bite. Here's what it's so much deeper, deep dive. It's so much deeper than what people think. But it's like, if I'm sitting here going, it's like this. Your two picks on Ray Roberts was a thunder cricket or a swim jig. Mm-hmm. Well, if I got a guy in the back of the boat, I'm like, hey, don't ever stop throwing the swim jig all day long.
Right, exactly.
I never have to tie it on. I never have to make a cast with it. And then I'm sitting there throwing my thunder cricket, and I'm like, he's like, hey, I got another one. Hey, I got another one. I'm like, keep throwing it. I'm going to start switching baits all day long. And because I already know that he's going to, I know that that's now a thing. And and if I miss,
knows how to do it right. And he's not just like fan casting out in the middle, turned over here in the middle of the pocket, just flinging it around.
Or I mean, one of the best fishermen, he almost won another Toyota. He won the Toyota championship. He fishes with Russell. And there's times when he can like throw a Carolina rig out there for 2 or 3 days in practice, and it takes one good cast and go, hey, I got a bite out there. Hey, threw out there, got another bite. And it's like found a hard spot that no one else found.
Yeah.
Those things matter. And so, that's what they were all just trying to do. They were all just trying to go, okay, here it is. 3 days of practice, no info, like the best fishermen who can figure it out. Yeah. That's what we all like signed up for back in the day. And so,
and see, like MPFL has a rule in place I didn't realize, but you can have a family member in the boat with you, which that was a thing that FLW had that I loved because, either whether it be my wife, my dad, somebody like that could come jump in my boat and practice with me. And I'm going to tell you guys, like when you're fishing by yourself for 3 straight days of practice, and then you're fishing 3 straight days of a tournament by yourself, those conversations with yourself start getting really boring.
Yeah, but I remember sitting in the FLW the championship, the Forest Wood Cup, and that got brought up. I was sitting next to Dudley, and I'm not. This isn't a bad thing, but I remember Michael Neal's dad used to go with them.
Oh yeah, he was a co-angler of mine one time.
And I'll never forget. Dudley was like said something. And I was real quiet back then. I was real, like it was my first, it might have been my first cup. And I was sitting next to him, and he was like, well, your dad can get out there. He's like, my dad's dead. And I was like, oh God. And but my dad had passed away too. So I was sitting there like, he's got a point. Like, like I know it's his family member, but it was like, it's an advantage. It's a giant, massive advantage. And that's all they're just trying to do.
I could put Kane in the back of the boat. And if I felt like he could just cast consistently, I could give him one bait and be like, just throw this the entire time. And it would be a benefit. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
About the 0 waypoint at start of practice in the elite field, that's irrelevant. I mean, don't get me wrong. You get to a place like St. Lawrence or some humongous place. But guys, like y'all got to understand, these guys, if they know that they've caught a bass there, like I could go delete all my best places on Toledo right now. Every single one of my very best places, and I could still take you to the exact same spot, the exact same lineup, and I would know exactly where they would be set up. No questions asked. It would take me less than 5 minutes to get everything exactly the way it was. I mean, with everybody, if you really want to throw a curveball into a field, take away their map. Take away their whatever it is, Lake Master, their Sea map, their Navionics, whatever map they have, take that away and just have them an outline of the lake. Then you would have everybody screwed up if you really wanted to mess with people. Because then they would be like, oh my God, like where do I go?
I like everything the way they're doing it. I think as long as they just keep on enforcing the rule and doing it, and if that means people get DQ'd, they will be a little bit more cautious. I'm just like I'm just put it to you this way: we have tons of off limit rules.
Yeah.
I have off limits starting this Monday for Bass Champs, right? I'll have one if I fish. We have them all the time. Like Outlaw Outdoors has them. Like we all have these things. It's not that big of a deal. I know they're not a month long and stuff, but I'm like, they just don't. Like when I go to LBJ, it's not going to be hard. I just won't ask anybody anything.
Yeah.
I just show up.
Yeah, but that's a place that you like anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
But that's my. But dude, I did it when I fished the tour and stuff like that. We just showed up and fished. I do it to all these places.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing.
And look where they go, man. Like if you want to get information, just like they're gonna go to all these lakes. Like they're gonna go to Okeechobee. They're gonna go to Harris Chain. Like just go ask people beforehand. Go talk to people.
Yeah.
You can talk, and then next year, like you might, but like most of these lakes we've all been. I mean, if you look at the elite schedule, most of those lakes we've all been to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they rarely ever schedule places that we haven't been to at this point. At least
I don't know this. I don't know the schedule for this year, but there's probably not a single lake that me or you haven't. At least one of us haven't been to.
There's.
I know they went to a new place this year, but I'm saying I'd say like 90%
it's very
of the time.
rare. But I do when I get those new places, I'm always super excited because it's just I get to go do something different. Like I get to see something different. I get to do something different. It's a big deal. Well, but and I'm not, like I said, guys, like I'm not trying to drag drama into it. I just know right now Bass is really sensitive on the info rule. And which is not necessarily a bad thing. Do I specifically agree with the last two? I mean that's an opinion on everybody, but it doesn't matter. It happened and it's done and it is what it is. Did I think Matt Herron was trying to gain an edge? No. Do I think that my opinion? Do I think Scott was kind of set up on some stuff? Yeah. Should he shut down the conversation? Absolutely. But I do think, based off some of the stuff that I know on the behind the scenes stuff, I do think he was kind of set up on some things. But, that's neither here nor there. But will the Classic have a DQ? I truly, truly, truly hope not. And it's not because of anything else other than I just don't want to see it for the anglers. Like I hate that for them. I mean, you look at, and it's not the exact same thing. It's definitely not an info thing, but look at Swindle when he got DQ'd in Alabama at the Classic for running too close to another angler when he was literally waved to run through there when there was like a crowd of like 30 boats. And that's something that still haunts him to this day. Like, I don't even know if he's ever actually let go of that. And because I don't think I could have. You have something like that is really, really hard to get past in your career. And I really just hope, this is actually a good comment. Can't, widespread and lack of enforcement if you want a professional sport. Once again, that reverts back to earlier in the conversation with Todd and I. You can call it cheating now, but I mean, was it cheating when it was allowed? What?
It was.
It was, but
when it was allowed.
Yeah, when it was allowed.
I mean,
so these guys. There's some of these guys that have literally had this network of information for 25 years, and now all of a sudden you're saying they're cheaters because they're doing the exact same thing they've done for 25 years. So it's just kind of this balance of like, okay, now it's against the rules, and now they're cheaters, but they weren't cheaters then because it wasn't against the rules. So it's like, okay, where do you balance this cheater mentality?
If it's against the rules, it's against the rules.
And I completely agree with you, Todd. But I don't want somebody to sit there and, well, that guy's just a cheater. But I don't know. It's just a weird balance when you start talking about guys that have been in it for a really long time.
It wasn't. They had no info. They had it on the tour as well. A lot of these guys on the Fish Bassmaster fished the tour. We had off limits on the tour.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we did. It wasn't definitely not to the extent of what it is now. I mean, as far as the no info
It just
rule,
wasn't enforced as much.
Yeah. Well,
Dude,
it wasn't enforced, but it definitely still wasn't the same either. I mean, like, you know, you couldn't hire guides up to like 30 days before the event, or you couldn't hire guides once the schedule was announced, but you could get info all the way up to 30 days, I think is what it was. If I remember, it's been a long time. God, you realize that it's been like now almost 6 years since we fished the FLW tour. It's just wild when you start thinking about stuff like that. But, you know, now info, like NPFL info is, I think it was January 1 or somewhere around that date, late December, January 1. You couldn't talk about the lake whatsoever, gain info, can't do anything, can't solicit, can't do literally anything, can't fish with anybody on said body of water. It's very, very strict, off limits. So things are changing. They are trying to, I guess, bring back the purity of the sport and make people go catch them just to go catch them, which is fine with me. I don't care. That's what I mean. The 2 wins. I was actually thinking back, the 2 wins I've had at major events with the Coastal Championship and the FLW Tour. And I literally had zero info going into either one of those, which was odd back in those days because, you know, you could get info leading up to a certain time. I just didn't know anybody at Cherokee, and I'd been to Cumberland a few times, so I didn't talk to anybody. I just kind of went fishing.
Yeah, you could for the Toyota Championship. I think it was only like a 2 weeks off limits or something.
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't even know who to call, and I'd been there 2 spring events. So I was like, I'll just go do what I do, like whatever.
Well,
the general area where they live.
Yeah,
but
I mean, and you were staying with us. Like, I mean, you even told me what you were going. You know, and like I said, I mean, and then I was over there doing my thing, and like, because I think I was in the top 10 after day 1, and you were. But I mean. Listen, man, all that stuff, I have zero problem with what they're doing. Zero.
Yeah.
But I was like the guy that didn't care about info. I still don't. And here's the reason why. I would have loved info at all these places, just like what you said. The problem is that I grew up fishing more team tournaments and all these guys. Like nowadays, these, you know, it's high school and college, and like you travel around. I don't know how it is, but like I grew up a team guy, a team fisherman, right? Team tournament fisherman.
Yeah.
You can't get info. Like there's zero people to call.
Yeah.
Like, so if I wanted to call someone from LBJ, so like that's the next tournament I'm going to, right? Every person that I would even think about calling is in the tournament.
Right.
So like when I go to Ray Roberts, I can't call anyone that would know anything about Ray Roberts because I'm fishing against them all. And that's the thing. So like we all had to like grow up. Like we had to like learn all these lakes ourselves because the people that you would actually know there are fishing against them. So I just got used to like doing it that way. And so I didn't think of it being any other way like that because like I said, now it's different when the opens come down here, you know, and I'm not fishing the open and all y'all are coming. Like that's where it gets hard because when I say hard, that's where people have the opportunity to call someone. But for us, there ain't nobody to call. They're all fishing the event against us. Like the best fisherman on the lake, I got to go fish against. And I don't want, if I was fishing the opens or any of those other tournaments, I don't want that guy telling this other guy who didn't find any of those fish where to go.
I tell you the one gray area that I just, and now it's a rule, 100% a rule. But I wish I would have been able to do it before it became a rule because to me it's the most fascinating thing ever. As those guys that go up to like the Great Lakes and stuff, and they were using drones to find bedding fish, and they literally were, and because you can see the bed, smallmouth make these huge beds a lot of times, or they'd find those like wolf packs of smallmouth, and they would just fly the drones down these shoals like super fast. And they could find, because a lot of smallmouth like to spawn in the same little general group of areas. And they were finding these spawning smallmouth. And I'm like, dude, that is like the most genius thing that I would never think of ever. But like, because I'm just going to put my troll motor down and go look, you know, because that's the way we grew up doing it. That's the way we've always done it. But I still think that's probably one of the coolest things ever.
So like Jeremy puts on here, I must suck at fishing because I can listen to a buddy go do what they did.
Oh, wrong one.
No. So
do what they did
like,
the next day never worked.
Here's the thing. If you ask me about Rayburn, if you ask me about Rayburn, there's very few times whatever I tell you, you can go. I can give you areas, but yeah, it's Rayburn's not one of those places that's very good. I'm telling you right now, some of these lakes, who knows which one, but Ray Roberts is one where I can say, if like it's going to, I can pretty much tell you where it's going to be one out of like 3 or 4 places.
Yep.
And it's like, but it's not even about like where it's going to be one. It's like I can just start circling places and like see all these circles. Don't even practice there.
Yep.
Like
that's a humongous amount of info right there.
That is like
go here.
That is massive.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, if just focus all your time here, here, and here. And I promise you, like, I'm not saying you're going to catch them. You got to figure that out. But I'd be like, dude, it's probably going to be on. And I'm telling you, that's how we go fish that place and why we always catch them. Because that's all we do. We just spend our time in these places, in these areas. We don't know which area is going to fire. But that's why we have and we only get one practice day. When me and Russell have to go fish these, it's one practice day. And we'll figure out enough. There's like, okay, we didn't figure it out all, but this is where we're going to spend most of our time. We catch them.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Like what a lot of anglers.
Rayburn's not like that. Yeah. Rayburn's not like that. Rayburn can yes.
Change on the dime. But I mean, for like generalized info, like what guys, at least back in the day when we got info on things, it was like, okay, what area of the lake do I need to spend my time in? And where do I just need to avoid? And that right there, it wasn't about a bait. It wasn't about a color. It wasn't about anything about that. It was literally about where is the worst place on the lake and where do I need to stay away from?
When my first year on tour, our first event was Okeechobee.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so unprepared. And me and Russell traveled together, and Russell was like I didn't even know like what the monkey box was, or I knew monkey box, South Shore, North Shore, whatever. Yeah. But I didn't know where any of them were on a map. Never looked at a map. The map's big circle. I was like, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I drove out there that day, and I was like, I know how to fish this stuff. Like, this is not hard. I know how to fish. I get one bite on day 1. Day 2, I go up north, and I don't even know what North Shore is. I just go up there. I do all this stuff. Almost 0 bites. I'm freaking out, and I'm going, I don't know. Day 3, I spend all of day 3 like I don't like bite. I thought I was like keyed in. Like I felt comfortable. By day 3, I was so lost about everything. And I'll never forget, I ran into Watson in this one creek. I ran into Watson. He's like, oh yeah, I'm catching them. I'm like, seriously? I was like, I've had like 2 bites the entire time I've been here. And hold on, I got to plug in my. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, just go do this. And I'm like, I've been doing that. And within 5 minutes, I got bit. I never changed a single thing. I made a top 30 in that event. I smashed on him, and it was just where I was at. And I'm like, if I had known, and I had to figure it out in the tournament, that whole area, because I only had like 2 more hours of practice left. If someone had just been like, oh yeah, that's a pretty good creek, or that's a pretty good whatever it's called, I don't know what it's called. And then I was about 2 miles away from the tournament was being won, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that's like a community hole right there. And I'm like, oh, not where I was at, but like
no. Yeah, I know exactly where you were, and you were like really close.
Yeah, I had no idea, and I was just going, and I was very happy with what happened. Like I had it all, but I was just going, oh, I could have spent 3 days in these areas, like it would, but I didn't. Like that was the point, and so that stuff matters like crazy. It does.
And so I think that's the main thing is like understanding the information thing and like how anglers actually use them. There's been a couple of guys that I've seen, and I'm not going to mention any names, that you could give them info, and you could give them like a tiny little nugget here, a tiny little nugget there, and they might get a tiny nugget from like 3 or 4 anglers. And actually, the ones that are really, really good are the ones that could talk to other anglers in the field that just had a big network, and every one of them would tell them one little thing. and it wouldn't be the main thing, but it would be like a little thing. And then by the end of it, they had all these little things, and they were able to put all those little things into one thing, and it became unstoppable for them. And that's what we've seen the trend in tournaments nowadays is the networking within the tournament. And you see these groups that roll together, I mean, and
people have no idea this is going on. People have no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember talking so Hallman was friends with some people, and I was only talking. Me and Russell roomed together, and then but I was always it was like Hallman, like especially this was the one. It was the tournament you won.
Mm-hmm.
The tournament you won, and I never talked to you at all.
No,
the entire practice. So I had no clue. I was catching them one way. I'll never forget though. Hallman called me up. He's like, "Hey, you catch them?" I'm like, "Yeah, we talk." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm catching them pretty good. I'm just trying to figure out more stuff." He's like, and I'll never forget. He was like, "Yeah, man, I caught him like so and so caught him like this. This is all legal. These are guys in the tournament, the networking thing." And I'd seen the networking thing go on a little bit, but I'll never forget that I saw Hallman told me that, and then I saw another guy go and do it, right? And I started putting the connections together of like, well, yeah, I only talk to Hallman and Russell, but Hallman only talks to him, and then he talks to, and I started seeing the chain of command, like the chain.
Yeah.
And I was going, and I called up Hallman later. I said, "Hey, Hallman," I said, "I don't ever want to know anything ever again."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll tell you everything," but I was like, don't tell me anybody anything ever's done. And I said, because what's gonna happen? And because I could see that if one guy figured it out, it went to like 10 to 15 guys.
Oh yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, don't tell nobody." And they were telling them, and I saw it, and I was like, "Nah, I don't, because I'd rather not even know." And
you're talking
about
Cumberland, wasn't it?
No, I was talking about Cherokee.
Oh, was it Cherokee? Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. See, Cumberland, I remember I got tired of running the same crap as everybody else. And because it was like.
Was that the spinnerbait tournament?
No. The Cumberland was the fall tournament where I caught them flipping the jig.
Oh, I was catching them. No one was doing what I was doing, so I didn't care.
Yeah, and I remember telling you about it because it was a tough bite. And I remember kind of mentioning to you, like, hey, like, go flip this jig, go flip a jig around these bluffs. And I want to say you caught a couple doing it, but, like, you were so dialed in on what you were doing. Like,
no, I didn't even know what you were talking about.
And maybe
I didn't find out about it till later.
Yeah, I think I told Hallman. But
you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
You told me something about a Carolina rig that I was like, you're like, yeah, I bet you could do, but not what you were doing. I didn't know what you were doing at all.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. I wasn't going to stop what I was doing. Like,
well, yeah, you were catching bigger ones than I was catching.
Yeah, I would have been fine. I needed it on day 2, but not on day 1. No, there was nothing that would have changed me what I would have done in that event.
Yeah, and see, like in that particular event, like I was fishing main lake stuff, and like I'd have guys idle into pockets in front of me, and I'm just fishing. I was fishing all by myself in a huge event where there was a ton of boats, and it was really an anomaly where you could actually get out there and do something that nobody else was doing. But I just don't even think that happens as much anymore. Like I don't know how much you're going to see that where you're just by yourself doing something. I say that, and if somebody figures them out shallow where everybody's scoping, I definitely could see that. So, yeah. But, dude, that's all I got. I know you're busy. I know you feel like crap. Go get you some medicine. I'm going to give a little spoiler because it's coming up next week. I'm not going to say what the fish was caught on. But for everybody that does follow Let's Fish TV, if you don't, you should. Todd went out and shot a show with Lucas Murphy of Strike King. They were fishing some new baits for Let's Fish TV, and Lucas did catch his PB with Todd. I'm not going to say where, and I'm not going to say what on, but it was an 11-pounder. Humongous fish. So big shout out to Todd for stepping up in a clutch situation and y'all catching an enormous fish. I would show the video, but y'all can watch it on the show. next week on Let's Fish
gonna-
TV. Dude, it's gonna be great. I'm so
It's gonna be
excited.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will be on FanDuel Southwest Southeast on Thursday. So make sure y'all check that out. We'll also have a replay of the show the following week on YouTube, and I can assure you that fish catch right there will be all over the place. Probably on social media and things like that. So but guys, I appreciate y'all staying with us through the show. We've averaged like over 500 for a while on this show. It is a longer than usual Open Pros Pick'em, but there's still a lot to talk about. It's classic. It's a different show. It's a different week. And Todd and I really haven't been able to catch up on some stuff, so it was nice to actually catch up with you, Todd. So, but
hope I can get over this and get up to the Classic. I was supposed to be up there now.
Yeah, I know you were supposed to be there. Yeah, if you get a chance, come by and see us. I'm going to be kind of everywhere. And if you also get a chance for the 498 that are still here, you need to go download the Deep Dive app. It is something that it's not a gimmicky thing. It's something I actually utilize all the time now. To me, it's no different than having mapping software, things like that.
I use it a lot now. I was shocked. I mean, it might just be for simple stuff, but I do use it a lot. Like for the
I truly like the wind effects, and I like the water clarity thing. The water clarity thing is a really big deal.
Right.
Because you can break down a lake now, because how many times have you gone in, let's just say to Rayburn, and you went into Veach, and you were like, all right, I need to go see what the water quality is in Veach.
I don't sweat that much anymore. I sweat it when we're at like these new places I'm going.
Oh yeah, because you have no idea what you're run into.
Yeah.
And so now you can say, oh, okay, well, this end of the lake is clear. These 3 pockets stay clearer than the other ones. Like, I don't know. It's just it's a really interesting thing. You definitely need to check it out. That's the main things I use it for are the inflow. The inflow is a big deal too. Where the creek's rolling into the most, because they are going to dirty up the fastest, things like that. But guys, if you get a chance to check that out, I appreciate all of you for sticking around for so long. Todd, get feeling better. Hopefully I'll see you this week. So we'll see you guys.